I saw it was a person was 2 years above me on their computer, and I saw software, and I asked him what the software was, and he told me it's FL Studio. And then from then on, I went home, I researched it. I didn't have a concept prior to that about who made the music.
Yeah,
you know, I just enjoyed the music.
Just enjoyed,
but I didn't have a proper concept of like, oh, the producers actually are the ones that make all of this. Beats, so then I went home, downloaded the software, started teaching myself. Then I stopped for about 2 years, and then I picked it back up when I was 20, and then I've been doing it since then.
So it is super interesting. Now you are in the world of NFTs.
Yes.
And you made your first NFT called Drifting, and it was on Foundation, this platform called Foundation. How did you get into NFTs, and why did you think, okay, this is something or a platform I could actually make money from? You know, because not a lot of people are thinking NFTs. We see them, but we don't really know about them. You know?
Yeah. So I follow a lot of artists. So there's a lot of digital artists that I was following that started transitioning into the NFT world. So I just started doing my research on it, started doing my research on what marketplaces they were. So then I stumbled into Foundation. So that it's more, so to join Foundation, you need a recommendation from another person who was already on there. So I had those people in my contacts, and I reached out to one of them, and they invited me to Foundation, and I put up my first artwork, and it actually sold. So prior to that, I've been doing illustration and artworks just for the love of it.
Yeah, because I saw a lot that you had done on your Instagram that you shared, and I wanted to also find out how do you pick your muse, because they're very different and just beautiful, and how are you able to pick a music when you're doing
I don't feel like I pick them. Like I feel like it comes. The right people come to you. So I feel like that's been how my life has worked for me. Like for the most part, is like I don't really. There's few things I've sought out. I feel like if you're aligned with your purpose, the right people will come.
Okay, I like that. Yeah. So your first NFT, I would want to know, and I'm sure a lot of people would also want to know, how much did it sell for?
It sold for 0.3 Ether, which at that time, Ether's value, that was about like $2,000, something like that. Yeah.
Wow. That is crazy. So here you are, and you look up to artists, like you said. Who do you look up to?
I look up to Kanye, Pharrell. In the beginning, I was really into a lot of R&B music. Okay. So I'd say, to be like really realistic, probably my biggest inspiration musically when I began was Mary J. Blige. I listened to a lot of her growing up. I listened to a lot of R&B music growing up. So like my first 2 albums were Mary J. Blige and Get Rich or Die Trying. So I was just...
That is super interesting. So I went on to your SoundCloud. And this is going to go into a story that I have that I saw, and I was pretty intrigued. Now, your first track on SoundCloud was a Jaden Smith remix. Yes. Now, in 2017, Jan 19th, you released... sorry, that's actually a different song. But you so happened to make a beat, and you sent it to somebody who was able, Jabs, if I'm not wrong, Jabs. You made a beat, and it was a song called Get Lost, and that ended up into being a collaboration. Yes. Could you please tell us about this?
I began posting my production. So before Spotify and Apple Music really entered the market in Africa and Kenya widely, SoundCloud was the most dominant place to post your music. So I started posting some of my productions and remixes on SoundCloud. Then an artist called Jabs, I discovered an artist called Jabs, so I followed her, and she followed me back, and I really loved her music. She was an artist based in Los Angeles, and I just really loved her music, and I just kept on speaking to her. And then one day, funny enough, I had a session with Blinky and Jojo Abbott at the time. And when I went, I made a couple of beats for the session. So I think I made that beat like at 3-4 in the morning, and the session was like at maybe like 8 in the morning.
Okay.
So I got to the session. I played them a bunch of the beats. They ended up not. They weren't really feeling that beat, but I thought it was something special.
Yeah.
So I went back home and I was like, who should I send this to? Then I thought maybe let me try sending it to Jabs.
Jabs, yeah.
So I sent it to Jabs. Then she went quiet for like a while, actually, like a month, maybe 2 months. And then one day I just opened SoundCloud and she sent me a link.
Yeah.
And then I clicked the link and it's Jabs
and
featuring Willow Smith. So I knew Jabs and Willow were friends, but not in my wildest dreams did I think I'd get Willow Smith on my song through that. But yeah, so that's how that's how the collaboration ended up coming to fruition.
Dope. You do a lot of things digitally, and I feel like you discovered that this is the way forward. How did this come about?
I just
because with your art, your music, you do so much, and your photography, you were like, okay, there's some platforms out there online that I can be able to get into. So what struck this thought?
I can't even tell you. I've always been creative. I've always been a creative person since I was a kid. Like I think I always knew I was different from my other friends. Like everyone wanted to, I guess, play soccer and stuff. I wanted to paint.
Yeah.
So I've always, I've always been I've always leaned towards art. So this is, I guess, I feel like it's my life purpose. So.
That is dope. I really like it because not a lot of people would be thinking so futuristically. That's why I'm like, this is pretty interesting because here you are, you're trusting these platforms, you're putting out your work and you're getting recognition worldwide. You're out here, you're selling NFTs as well. I want to be able to talk about Afrina Ladi.
Yes.
I stumbled upon this Tumblr account because you have a couple of pieces that you've done and you actually tell people go and check the rest of it on the Tumblr page. Now, I really love this platform because they say it's Africa's most innovative underground artists in the film, photography, you have fashion, literature. How did you get into this?
So there's this artist called Jojo Abbott. She's a Ghanaian artist based in the States. So she came here, I don't remember I think she came here for a show or she came here for some kind of residency. And we ended up connecting with so I was part of a collective called East African Wave. And we used to throw parties like a couple of years ago. We were throwing parties and releasing a lot of music. So she stumbled onto our music and we ended up connecting, and we decided to form a kind of like collective with her, Earwave and Brian Safiri.
He's a stylist.
He's a stylist. So all of us decided we're going to form a collective, and part of the mission of that collective was to throw shows, alternative shows that at the time when we started all these things, there wasn't really a real alternative scene. Yeah. There actually wasn't.
There wasn't,
So we started everything really at Creatives. We had our first show for Afrina Ladi at Creatives Garage, which was it's a creative hub where it was like an NGO and they got funding to help
creatives,
creatives. So we put together our first show there. I think the first people we booked for our show was Cosmic Homies.
Okay.
And after that first show, we had the first show and they were about like, we were expecting maybe 50 people to show up.
Yeah.
I think maybe 300 people showed up in like a really small, it's like a small house. It wasn't much. So then we thought like we could actually keep doing this. So we for about 3 months, I believe, we threw a party every single Friday with new acts and all the new acts and alternative acts that we discovered on SoundCloud and that we were working with. We found a place to like showcase the music. So we did that for about 3 months. And in those 3 months, we created also a lot of music. We created a lot of art. We created a lot of installations. And
That's amazing. I really, really love that, we have such spaces, because I feel like it's very important, even here, what we're trying to do at this station. And I feel like just being able to be surrounded with other creatives and other like-minded people, then it can be really huge. So I want to just touch kidogo on EA Wave and how it came to being and how it was for you. What were you able to learn from it and that experience?
So yeah, Earwave started on SoundCloud. Actually,
Everything started on
really
SoundCloud.
started on SoundCloud. So I think it started off with Jinku. Me and Jinku were friends on SoundCloud. The SoundCloud producer community at that time was pretty small, especially in Kenya. You knew everyone.
Everybody,
was pretty
yeah.
much making music
Yeah.
at that point. So Jinku reached out to me. He was working on an artist project and they needed a remix. And he reached out to me to do a remix. So I ended up doing the remix. Then we just ended up connecting as friends. Then I wasn't in Kenya at that point in time. I was in New York on an internship. Then when I came back into the country, we ended up connecting with Jinku. And then coincidentally also me and New Funk had been we actually worked on an entire EP before ever meeting each other.
Wow.
And we released it on SoundCloud. Then, so when I came back, I met New Funk and Jinku, and then I bumped into Hiribai at a party, at a birthday party at a friend's place. Then I told him, I'm about to go to the studio to meet these people. You want to come? Then he ended up coming. And that's how Earwave started. We didn't start off as Earwave. We started off more as just a producer community, working with each other, helping each other out. Then eventually we first started off with the idea of making our own genre. We felt that East Africa didn't have a sound, not even a sound, a name that can be marketable. Like, because I feel like a lot of these Amapiano, all these genres, you need a name for it.
Yeah.
And then that's what journalists can grab onto, or at least search online and see. So we were like, so we came up with the name EA Wave, East African Wave.
East African Wave, yeah.
Then I think we tried getting people into it, but then, like, getting people to see the vision of what, like, we were trying to do at that time. I think this probably even predates Alte. Like, we didn't even we didn't know about the alternative scene in Nigeria, at least at the time when we began. So we thought, like, the alternative scene needs a name and it needs people to be able to kind of put faces to it.
Yeah.
So people didn't really see that vision. I guess now people see it with what Alte has done for, like, a lot of the artists that came out from the alternative scene in West Africa. But at that point in time, people weren't seeing the vision, so we just decided, let's just focus on ourselves. And then we decided, let's use that name for our name as, like, a production collective. Yeah. And that's how EA Wave.
Okay. Wow, it's beautiful. That is amazing. Now, you just mentioned that you went for an internship in New York. Would you care to tell us?
Oh, I was just interning at the UN.
At the UN?
Yeah.
Okay, that is interesting. You went to uni?
Yes, I did.
Where?
Stratham.
What did you study?
BCom, a Bachelor of Commerce, but specializing in entrepreneurship, because I wanted to start my own label and I wanted to start my own creative agency, and I thought I needed all the skills I need to create a business, because I knew creatively that's going to sort itself out. I just needed the business skills to push it.
And how has that been for you? Have you been able to do so?
Yes, I have. Yeah. But I feel like I learned more from practicing.
They always say when you actually are doing the work, it's different from when you're at school,
Yeah, business in school and business in reality are very far.
So a little birdie told me you do not drink alcohol.
Yeah.
Is that true? Why?
It's never been it's not religious. I'm not that religious, so it's not for religious sake. It's just never been it's not my jam. Like,
yeah. So let's talk a bit about your photography. What struck you into now getting into photography? Was it that you were doing digital art and you were like, okay, maybe I could actually take pictures and then, try and alter them in a different way?
For the most part, I think it came from me wanting to I wanted to create so some of my favorite artists were like Salvador Dali, and he's like a surrealist like artist. So he makes things that just things that you dream about. He translates that into like painting. So that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I felt like photography, there's a limitation towards photography in terms of like, at least at that time, you know, like I hadn't even thought about set design. You know, there's other things you could do with the photography, but I feel like a lot of those things I could do them digitally. So it allowed me to be able to like explore a wider, or at least for me to be more imaginative with what I'm creating. So that's my goal, was to create things that stood out and weren't just straight up just photography. I wanted it to be, you know, like something that that's like you dream about, essentially, like things that I dream about. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where you get your inspiration from?
Yeah,
because
dreams and
experiences,
and I feel like, especially with arts, I feel like some things just you can't even pinpoint where it came from, but something told you just open your laptop that day.
Yeah. So you are Ukweli, and then we have Brendan, because I stumbled upon now you have your artwork, and you also have like your, what would I call it? Like on Twitter, there's a page, and then on Instagram, but then there's also Ukweli.
Yes.
So how are you able to balance out what you do? How does that come to being? I don't know. Do you struggle with that sometimes? Especially when you have to like balance all of them, and do you find that sometimes you're like you have to meet a deadline and you're like, oh no, but I also have to do this? So I don't know, because you do so much. How are you able to balance it all out?
It's still something I'm working on. It's hard to balance everything out, but I feel like it's easy balancing things out if they're all your passions.
Okay.
Like, with it being my passion, I don't mind, you know, being up until 4 a.m. to finish a song because I need to submit it, you know, in the morning. Or same for any graphic design work I do, because it's my passion. So it's easy to go over and above when it's your passion. So for me, that's always been the thing that keeps me going, is that like, I can't tell you why I want to do it or what moves me to do it, but I feel like my day would be complete if I didn't do something creative. So just trying to balance it now is basically, I've gotten more into trying to structure my time for music and my time for art like separately, so that I don't burn out on either.
On either, yeah, because that's important. We don't want you to burn out, you know, because you are doing a lot. Now, when it comes to production, I'd want to know, are you self-taught? Did you go to school? How did you get to become a producer?
I'm completely self-taught. Like, I didn't go to school for it. I started teaching myself when I was about 16, 17.
Okay.
Just taught myself online, and I guess I had already done a lot of research because I listened to a lot of music since I was a kid. So I guess the best way to get into music is listening to it. You know?
I hear you. So I'm sure a lot of people are probably wondering why we don't have a project from you, because here you have a lot of incredible music with so many different people. So I'd want to know, are we expecting something? What's the plan?
Yes. So I feel like for myself, I have a much higher standard of quality for what I envision my first projects to be.
Okay.
That's always been, it's been, I guess, good enough, but like not good enough for a project. So
what's good enough? What do you mean?
For me, like, I have to be completely satisfied with something before I release it. So any song you see of mine released, it's because I was 100% on board with it all the way to the end. So for me, that's why it's taken me a bit more time, but it's interesting now because everything has kind of like aligned perfectly, because I have this collaborative EP with Xenia that we're releasing soon, and then next year I'm releasing my first EP also.
Okay.
My first solo EP, and closer towards the end of the year, hopefully it'll be there'll be also be an album next year.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, so everything, I feel like everything came at the right time, because all the music that I've been working on, it's come to the point where I'm really proud of the music. So
yeah,
it's just a matter of now planning the videos and all the marketing related things.
Dope. You have spoken about videos. Now you are also a director.
Yes.
This is incredible. You directed the Bambi video for Kilele. Please tell us how this came about, how you were like, okay, I think I can direct this.
So we Airwave, we had our first release as a label with Kelele Collective. We had gotten a distribution deal for our label. So the first act was them, and when they played the song, the idea for the video immediately came to me. So I typed out like a brief of my idea. Then I got in contact with CJ. He's a collaborator of mine. He's also a director and a cinematographer. And we've worked on prior videos. So once I had the storyline together, I called for a meeting with CJ.
Yeah.
And we had the meeting and broke down the ideas. Then we started location scouting, and that's how that came together. So, but that one, like the idea of what to do with the video just really came instantly
just
to
struck.
me. So,
yeah.
So then, yeah.
So you're going to be directing your music videos?
Yes.
Yeah.
Me and Xenia are actually going to direct the music video for
Maybe. Yeah. Incredible. You worked with Z a lot on like so many songs. Is there a reason?
I think she's one of the best artists in Africa.
Yeah.
If not the world.
Oh! No, she is incredible. She is. So I'd also want to know, when you're working with all these incredible people, how does it come about? Do you pick them out? Do they look for you? Do you look for them?
In reality, that's why I feel like whenever you're aligned with your purpose, the right people find you, and that's just how it's worked out for me. Like in the sense that I think a friend of mine played Xenia's song, and I was like, "Who's that vocalist?"
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like, "There's no way that's a Kenyan." Like,
yeah.
I just didn't think that was possible. So I was like, then he told me, "Oh, that's Xenia." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Then I went on my social media to like look for her. Then coincidentally, I saw she had actually messaged me.
Oh yeah.
Being like, "Hey, I just
can
got
we
in
work
the country.
together?
I want to work."
Yeah.
So then I was like, I guess it was just it
it aligned, like you say.
Aligned, you know? So that's how we ended up linking with Xenia, and then from then on, the first song we ever worked on, I think, was "My Pride."
Yeah, My Pride.
And then,
yeah.
From then on, we just kept on working, and we've actually accumulated a lot of songs throughout the period of us working together. So
Dope.
now at least it's a season for releasing.
Yeah,
music,
nice. Kasha.
Oh yeah.
Woo! That's actually how I found out about you, because I was doing my show here and I usually have people just like give me song requests. Then somebody recommended Ukweli and I was like, wait, hold up. What is this? So I'd want to know also with Kasha, did it just also align?
Actually, yeah. Like with Kasha, I think I was on SoundCloud. And I stumbled into a cover she did.
Yeah.
I think randomly. It was just on my. I think I left SoundCloud just playing the recommendations it had, and one of her tracks came on it, and I was like, "Yo, who is this?" I clicked on her profile.
Yeah.
And then I was like, she's based in the States. She was living in the States at that time, but I saw that she was Kenyan.
Yeah.
So I just reached out to her and I was like, "Hey, I'd like us to work together." Then she got back to me and she was down to work together. So we had a couple of like FaceTime sessions, just like talking, getting to know each other. Then we started working on music, and she is like quite possibly like
she's brilliant.
like her and Xenia are probably like the most brilliant artists like I've ever met. Like how they create, the ideas they have, like just supremely talented. So,
nice. Then you had a song I Can.
Yes.
Only, can you please tell us about Only Human?
Okay, yeah. So I Can.
How did that happen?
I'm actually, so interestingly, I found him through, there's this publication called Tangaza Magazine.
Okay.
And it's owned by Monica. I don't know if you're familiar with Tangaza Magazine.
I've heard of,
it?
I've heard of it.
So they do print. I think they release even the first edition, I think like last year or something like that. But they also are online, and they post up like new artists from Kenya and East Africa and Africa widely. So he's one of the artists that they had posted as like an artist to watch out for. One of their like top 5 new artists to watch out for, something like that.
Yeah.
So I clicked on his profile and I listened to his music. I was like, he just blew me away. So immediately I hit him up and I was like, hey, let's work. And then he wanted to work. And I think the first song we made was Only Human.
Yeah. How is that process?
It was actually an interesting process because I had this beat that I had made that I didn't know who to give, because it was like it's a disco it's like K-Tranada-ish, but like it's disco housey vibes, and I didn't know any vocalists here. Because all the other vocalists I was working with, like you see with Xenia, we work on more R&B, alternative R&B stuff. So I was like, I was struggling with who to give the beat to. Then I thought, like, actually, let me give it to him. And I sent it to him, and I think about 2 weeks later, he sent me back the first sketches of what he had done, and I loved it. And then we just kept on working on it, added some more instrumentation, and then ended up releasing it.
Dope. I would want to know what the process is like for making a beat. How do you go about it? Because I wouldn't be able to pinpoint your sound. It's so diverse, it's different. So I'd want to know how that process is like.
So for me, the process always starts with chords. So I'll open up a instrument like a piano or a synthesizer, and I'll just play around on the keyboard until I find a sound, or you never. It's an inspiration thing. So when you hear something that you play that you like, that's now when the track starts for me. So almost all my tracks started with keys first. Then from keys I go into like adding the drums, and then now from the drums I flesh out the track a bit more. Then now the vocalist comes on board.
Wow, that is beautiful. Now there's somewhere that I saw you did digital artwork, and you got to work with Michael Soy. How was this?
It was amazing. Like he's one of the probably most prolific like Kenyan artists. So to get the chance to actually go to his studio, talk to him, and actually work on a project with him was like just like the best.
So did you reach out to him? You went to his studio and you're like, hey, this is what I think about it. And can you please tell us, because there is something that you touch on. There's some taboo issues that you talk about when you present this art. Could you please share with us?
So I had been working with a creative collective who were into like modeling and fashion, and they're the ones that reached out to Michael Soy to work on a project. Then they reached out to me. Then I went there, and I've always loved the political nature of like Michael Soy's paintings and just even the societal commentary. I had seen that he had been doing a lot of like body art. So I wanted to visually represent that. I think so that's when we came up with that idea. We went there and he started doing the body art on them. And then we took a couple of photos, and then I went home and I found now creative ways to like edit and put together a cohesive piece. But and it touches also on like a lot of people have negative notions or want to police women's bodies. So I think like for me it was also I love being able to like explore and push the boundaries of what people accept as like Kenyan art or African art. So that was a really creative and fun project for me.
Dope. Because I read that you were talking about commercial sex work and corruption as well. Something I saw. There's an article that I read, and I was like, this is pretty interesting. And the work was beautiful. I'd like to commend you on that. I'd want to know, and it seems like you work a lot. What else do you like to do? Apart from working, what do you like to do for fun?
I used to paint for fun. I stopped painting for like work, and I painted for fun. But I stopped that. But I think my love has always been film.
Okay.
So I'm a film nerd.
So is that the next thing you want to pick up?
That's 100%. Like you heard it here first. But film is something that's very, I hold in the high regard, so I wouldn't want to mess it up when I do it. So I think that, but further down the line, that's something that I want to get into. My first entry into it will probably be more in the scoring side. I definitely want to score a film from beginning to end, and then eventually get into like doing my own films. But I think I'll probably start with like short films in the next couple of years.
I think even with the music videos that you guys are going to be directing, then that can be...
They're like mini films.
Mini films, yeah, exactly, with a storyline. So I would want to know your family. Does your family support you? Did they always support you? Was it easy for them to see you through, what you've been doing?
Yeah, I grew up with a single mom, so it's just me and my mom.
Okay, shout out to single moms.
and she's supported me always. I guess that's why I've always believed in myself or believed in my art. Like, it started from home. She's always believed in me. So, and she put that in me to always believe in myself. So, I've never really needed any other support besides really,
Yeah. So I'd want to know, does she do art? Is she like an artsy person?
Funny
Is
enough,
that,
so she's a very artistic person. Like, so I get my love of music from her, because she always used to play music all day, every day, like in the house. So like I grew up listening to a lot of Mary J. Blige. I grew up listening to a lot of disco music, a lot of like really old school, James Brown. Like my mom has a very eclectic music taste, so I got to listen to a lot of music through her, and I think that's probably what inspired me to like get into music.
Yeah.
And she also does like interior design as a side, just like her passion project is interior design. So I think we're all artistic.
That is dope. Do you have any siblings?
No.
Only kid. That is crazy. How is it being an only kid? It's usually so interesting.
It's lonely sometimes, but I think that's not having distractions, I think, is what allowed me to get into art. Because like you can only be bored for so long until you're like, let me just
submerge myself in work, Yeah. That's incredible. I really, really like that. So you've been in this creative industry for quite some time, and I'd want to know your thoughts, especially in the Kenyan scene. What do you think? How do you think it's going? Where do you think we're at right now? And what's the future?
I think we're still in the beginning stages of an industry. I've always thought, like, when we started, a lot of people talk about like the music industry. I've never felt like we have a music industry. I feel like we've had people doing things, but on a wider basis, like the infrastructural components that make an industry just haven't been present in the creative field for a long time. Like things that and I think when we see other countries like South Africa, Nigeria, and what they have going on, you see kind of now, especially I'd even point more towards even South Africa in terms of like in Africa, the creative industry, the artists complain there obviously because it could still be better. But when I look at South Africa, I'm like, there's booking agents to sign artists, and they only just do bookings. There's such separation of duties where if you're an artist that has a song that's bubbling, there's actually a structure. There's a booking agent that'll book you. There's Universal and Sony that have their offices there that you could walk into and actually talk to a label head and talk to an A&R and that kind of structure that doesn't exist here. But you see, with us, it's just a matter of time till when you look at the wider picture of Africa. I think obviously Kenya is going to be the next place that the attention comes from Universal, Sony, etc.
Yeah.
It's just going to take us a bit longer than South Africa.
Why do you
and
think
Nigeria.
so?
I think on a scale of things, it's like you can't deny the music that South Africa and Nigeria make. I would like to sit here and say like the music's not good, but like honestly, I understand why those countries are ahead of us in terms of like the sound and the. I feel like there's a certain, we have sounds here and genres, but we've not had. It's just not been accessible for other countries.
Okay.
I can't pinpoint it, tell you for whatever
reason. Yeah.
In my mind, like you listen to genres like Tarab. It's like Tarab. In my mind, Tarab can be our export out of this world, but I mean out of Kenya to the rest of the countries, because it has such similarities with music made in other coastal regions, like Senegalese music from Mali, music from those countries. They all have this similar vein. So I think that's something that we could push outside. So this is a long-winded answer to say basically that I believe that we are at the beginning of an industry starting and an industry and us building an industry here. It's the only thing that we really need is just infrastructural systems here. We need more people specializing in just particular things. We need just booking agents. We need just labels. We need just A&Rs. We need people who are just mixing engineers. And once we get more people specializing in these particular things, each and every one of these people will want to build a business. An A&R will want to build a business around that. A manager will want to build a business around that. So, but yeah, I think our future is bright with artists like Xenia and Kasha. Like I can't see a world where other people in Nigeria, West Africa, in South Africa don't get into that. Like a song like Silaha, I can see a South African
getting on board with it.
Like that. It's just and especially Swahili is such a one of the widest spoken languages in Africa.
In Africa,
So it actually boggles my mind why Kenya or
what's not happening, guys.
But I think also even on production, I think also we need to take the blame in terms of like the production level and quality of production hasn't always been to the standard that these other countries have. You know, like in my mind, we don't have like a person, like, you know, if I tell you like who could you say is like our Maforisa, it wouldn't it wouldn't really click immediately. But I feel like with the music I'm hearing from people now and the music that's going to be coming out, I definitely think we have a chance to really capitalize on the eyeballs that are looking at us. We'll just be obviously third or fourth to be looked at. Just because, I mean, we can't deny South African and Nigerian music is where it's at right now. And I think it's important to let everyone have their turn. It's like it's their turn now.
So we will also have our turn.
Everyone will have their turn. There was a point in time when Nigerian music Nigerian artists couldn't even tour in America. They wouldn't get it's pretty much the same as us. Like there was a time when Nigerian artists would only go to UK or America and play to only Nigerian crowds. Much like maybe how Kenyan artists now, if they tour, they most likely play to only Kenyan crowds. But now you look at it, Nigerians are selling out arenas and South Africans are selling out arenas. So I don't see why we wouldn't be next, you know. It's just 5. I give us 5 years. Hopefully, 5 years. 5 years.
Okay.
We'll have had our chance.
Brendan says 5 years, guys. We shall wait. So is that why it takes you so long to, release a song, or like it takes you a bit of time because you uphold yourself in a certain standard?
That's always been me. If I make a lot of music, so it's not a matter of like. I have enough music to be able to release every single day.
And why is it with producers, you guys are just sitting on gems, just hidden gems,
so like for me, it's always been like my who I look at as my competition, because we're not competing, like even with Kenyans, it's like we're not competing with other Kenyans. We're competing with South Africans, Nigerians. We're competing with
even the world, man.
Yeah, like,
you know,
but even we just starting here.
We
like
start here.
I don't even think the world is our competition in that. Like Nigerian and South African music is some of the best music coming out in the world.
That is
so,
true.
Like, our competition is like really killing it. You know, so I feel like for us it's just a matter of like we see watching and seeing the mistakes and the things that have worked for other industries like South Africa and Nigeria. It's I feel like we're even in a somewhat better position because we get to see other people near us do it.
We see their failures. We're like, okay,
room to improve.
Yeah.
And so by the time stuff is happening for us here, we'll have already had a blueprint to follow from our South African and West African brothers. So I love the fact that South African and West African music is blowing up right now because it's only a matter of time till
we get on that wave, you know? Yeah, I love that. So I would want to know, what does a good song sound like to you? I don't know if that question makes sense.
For me, it gives me goosebumps.
Oh yeah,
like there's a certain feeling you have, and so everyone I've worked with, that's the only reason I've worked with them. They get like they
give you the chills.
Feeling.
Like
first time I heard Xenia, I got the chills. I was
like,
who is this? And so I feel like that's the only thing you can do in especially as a producer. You can only I feel like a lot of people times people feel like, especially with production, that you have to find an artist who isn't good.
Yeah.
And, mold them and build them up. And I feel like to some extent that's true, but also it's the most important thing is to work with people who inspire you and people who you're proud of and people who you even look up to. Like somebody like Xenia is a person I even look up to. Like the things she's doing in the creative industry. So like I think that's the most important thing is just working with people who really inspire you and who like anytime I'll send Xenia or Kasha a song, when they send it back, I'm like, I'm a fan. Like,
you're blown away every time. Who do you want to work with musically? Yeah.
I definitely Tewar, Amare. A lot of the people I want to work with are really even just within the continent.
Yeah.
Ami Faku, we did a remix project with Ami Faku for her label, 5th Season, like last year.
Yeah.
But I'd like to work on original music with her. I'd like to work with Elaine. She's a South African singer, but she's based in States.
Yeah.
I want to... There's a long list. Like there's a list of a lot of people, but I don't even want to jinx it by
putting out there. But
it's going to sound crazy.
Yeah.
The people I want to work with, but I see it happening for myself. It's just I just have to put in the work.
Nice. The art scene. More NFTs coming up, or what are we doing there?
So with NFTs, I just took a step back just to so the thing I realized about NFTs is that you need to, it's pretty much just like the art world. The stuff that sells for the most and the stuff that gets the most attention is really from people who've been doing it and have built connections in the industry for a long time.
Yeah.
So much like NFTs, like similar to the art world, it's the stuff that you kind of have to either build your own leverage outside the art world so that when you enter the market, it's ready. There's already a ready market for you. So for me, the next step is definitely to have NFT releases combined with the music. So that's what I've been working on for some releases next year.
Okay.
There'll be some
NFTs
in
the
I'll be
video.
collaborating with some artists in the NFT space.
Okay.
In different it'll be interesting stuff, like very weird stuff.
Okay. Put me in. Maybe I might also create an NFT next year, and then I'm like, okay, guys, hey, this is. I also have, but that's incredible. Directing. what are we to expect? Anything apart from the music videos that you were telling us about?
Yeah. So for the most part, I'm really just focused on the music videos for now. I have something upcoming in November that I can't announce now, but in November it'll all make sense. But there'll definitely be a lot more in the visual arena November onwards.
November onwards. And you said you have your project that's coming out, your solo project.
Yes.
When is that?
So my solo project next year. Around February.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I have a collaborative project with Xenia. That we released the first single, which is Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
And the full project will be out. I can't give the dates now, but I'll give the dates.
Dope. So I really love My Pride. I think that's like one of the tops for me. But also this song Maybe. And I'd want to just talk about it. Just kidogo. How did you guys come about Maybe? And did you make the beat, or did she have an idea and then you're like, okay, let's do this?
So Maybe it started off. I'd made the beat. So essentially, maybe I had made the beat, and then I had a session with Xenia the next day. So I played a bunch of beats, and that's one of the beats that she gravitated towards. We ended up recording it and finishing it pretty much the same day. Like,
for real?
We did
you guys are just professionals like that. Like just one day, just bagger like that.
We finished the song. So the first song, we finished the song probably in like 1.5, maybe 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah. Then from that song, I was like, I have to make an entire project
with her. Yeah.
So then we just started. After that, we started meeting every Thursday for about a year. We just worked on music every single Thursday, and if we missed a Thursday, we'd make up another day.
Yeah, for it. Yeah, make
so
up.
Then after that, we made a couple more songs, and then we put together a project. But me and her have like a lot of music.
So with this project that you guys are releasing, how many songs are we to expect?
It's a 5-song project.
5-song project, and it's coming out soon. Yeah.
Very soon.
How soon is very soon?
Very soon.
Very soon.
Very soon.
Okay, well, I would love to get you guys here for an interview once you guys release it. I'm sure a lot of people will be waiting.
We'll be here first.
Are you guys having like a listening party, or what's the plan?
We're planning all those things, but right now Xenia's in the States. She's working on a couple of things there, so all the release, our plans for the listening party and all those things are pegged on around the time when she comes back. So, but for sure, when she's back, we'll definitely have a listening party and probably even have like an intimate show.
Dope. That's amazing. I can't wait to hear the magic you guys are gonna be dropping. I'm sure it's gonna be amazing. Now, I don't know. You do so much. So, just what else can we expect from you going forward? Are you going to be directing other people's music videos? Any more art we should look out for? Performances, probably?
Yes. So the things to look out for is next year. I'm going to be releasing a lot of, probably a lot more solo projects.
Okay.
And definitely another project with Z. So just be on the lookout for a lot of more music. The quality will be as high as I can make it.
That's good.
So just expect more music. For my next couple of months, I'm focusing on just building a good enough audience for my type of music, and, so that the releases next year can be
dope. I'm sure a lot of people will gravitate towards the music because you have beautiful music, I'm not even gonna lie, and I can't wait for it. Now that you're a walking brand and you do so many things, what would you want to be remembered for?
I'd like to be remembered for, hopefully, inspiring a lot of people here, a lot of producers here to choose the harder path, to choose the road less taken. You know what I'm saying? I feel like especially when we started, like the music we were making, people kept looking at us like we were weirdos. Like, you know,
like what are these guys doing?
Weird music, and
they were
like,
not getting it.
I don't know how R&B music is weird.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But at that time, I guess people didn't really expect it coming from people they know,
yeah,
or their friends.
Yeah.
So I'd like to be remembered for hopefully inspiring a lot more people to explore art and do things that are true to them and not for an audience. Like when we start making music, 100 plays, 20 plays. So you're at that point, you can only be doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for, for an audience.
An audience. Last question before you go. Ukweli. And I should have started with this question. I don't even know how I did not. Why Ukweli?
So my name is Brennan Shahidinus.
Okay.
But the biggest problem I kept on having is people kept on thinking I'm white. They didn't think I'm Kenyan, so I thought like I wanted to have a name that is more easily identifiable as an African name, in spite my last name
your
still
last
being
name,
African.
yeah.
You know, but it's French, but like I mean Seychelles just happen to speak French because it was colonized and all.
Yeah.
But I wanted to have a name that's more easily identifiable. So I had a friend ask me, what does... I was telling her I don't even know how to pick a name. So she's like, what does music represent to you? And the first thing that came to mind is truth. And then I just switched it to Swahili. And yeah, that's how the name came about.
That is dope. Thank you so much, Ukweli, for coming. Or should I say Brendan? I don't know. Which one do you like to go by? Any?
I'm good with any.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you here on the show. This is the Tuchapiane Hour, guys. That has been an amazing interview with Ukweli. Make sure to look out for all the projects that he is going to be coming up with next year. And I'm going to leave the song maybe playing. I feel like it's only right.
Yes, that's the one we're pushing.
That's the one we're pushing. So that's the one I'm also going to be pushing. But I'd like to say thank you so much to everybody who has been tuned into the Tuchapiane Hour. It has been amazing. Make sure you keep it Radio 254, the best radio station in the 254.